Hello YouTube! Today in the Naughty Librarian, I am bringing you a book unhaul. It is officially springtime, and I always spring clean my shelves out. It's a yearly tradition. Well, it's a more than just once a year tradition, but like always right when it hits spring, I like to do a pass of my shelves. So in this video, this is the first batch of stuff I have decided needs to leave my shelves. I figured I'd just tell you what stuff needs to go. Alright, so all the books I have decided I'm getting rid of. I'm getting rid of for a multitude of reasons. I think a lot of them I have read and then just wasn't super into. So that's kind of been the reoccurring theme. So I am getting rid of these two books by K.M. Jackson, mainly because I did read How to Marry Keanu Reeves in 90 Days. I thought it was just not good. I don't like it. And then Real Men Knit, another book by this author, I also read. DNF'd, didn't like it either. And then I had this on my shelf, another book by this author, and I'm like, am I gonna go a third round with this author? I don't think so, because I have not liked a single book I've read from this author. Like, I want to, but I just don't, so yeah. These are gonna leave my shelf. I'm also getting rid of Little Women. Like, part of me wanted to keep it just for my classics collection, but frankly, I DNF'd it and I had no fun with this. There is already a video out on my channel when I did Drunk Classics on it. Was not feeling it, did not like it. I'm like, why would I keep it on my shelf just for the sake of having a classic on my shelf? And it's like, I don't like it, I'm just gonna get rid of it. It gives me space for books I like. Also leaving my shelf, I have Persephone Station by Stina Leaked. And this is another book I bought. Is a cover buy. I think it's gorgeous, and I was like, I'm gonna love this. I love the concept of this. Like, almost the whole cast is femme presenting or female, and everybody's queer, and it's like a space western. Like, I love the vibe. However, I read probably over 100 pages of this, and I couldn't tell you what happened in it. It's just unintelligible, frankly. What am I reading? I don't understand anything. And like when I went and looked at reviews, I wasn't the only one who thought that. It's just unintelligibly written. I can't. It's pretty and I like its vibes, but it's not hitting it. Now I have a whole bunch of books right here. Then these might be controversial choices, but we're gonna go through them. One, I have Guilty Pleasures by Laurel K. Hamilton. You know, this is a well-beloved series. A lot of people have read this series. It's like a bajillion books in it. And I did read this book. It was for Wicked Spirits Book Club. This was just an old book club I was in on YouTube. And we read it and I was like, you know, it's whatever. I wasn't like super impressed with it. There you go. I mean, it's fine. But like, am I gonna read more books in the series? No. And I was just kind of keeping it, so, because, you know, it's like the Anita Blake Vampire Hunter series. It's kind of like an iconic paranormal romance series, but I'm like, why am I keeping it on my shelf if I didn't like it? So it's finally time to go. I also decided to get rid of For the Wolf by Hannah Witten. And here's the thing, like, I was obsessed with this book on social media before it came out, like obsessed. And I pre-ordered it. I was like, this is gonna be a 5-star read. I'm gonna be obsessed with it. And frankly, I'm not really obsessed with it. Like, it's fine. I don't think it's bad. It's fine, you know? And do I need it on my shelf? Arguably not. It's not that great, honestly. And I think I would like to like set it free into the world and have someone who like is really excited to read this be able to get their hands on it. Because for me, I read it, I thought it was fine. I know there's supposed to be another book in the series, but frankly, I don't think I'm gonna read it. So it's leaving my shelf. I'm also gonna get rid of Pestilence by Laura Thalassa. And I did read this one. However, I did read it whilst in the midst of a pandemic, which is probably not the best time to be reading about, you know, one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, whose whole, like, deal is pestilence and disease. So maybe, you know, it wasn't the right time for me to read this. But, you know, I thought it was fine. There's a lot of plot holes in it. It's fine. I didn't really love it. I just kind of was meh about it. And I'm like, again, am I just gonna leave it on my shelf because it's popular? And I was like, no. It's not going to be on my shelf just because it's popular. It's going to go. I'm also getting rid of The Roommate by Rosie Danan. And here's the thing. So many people love this book and this series in general. I could not get through this one book. I couldn't get through book 1. I DNF'd it. It made no sense to me. And I don't mean like in an unintelligible way like Persephone Station did. I mean like these characters are so far from being believable as people that it was like bizarre reading this book. Like, that's how I felt about it. And like, frankly, it was a DNF, and I was like so sure I was gonna really love this book, and I'm so bummed I didn't, because I know this is like a fan favorite. A lot of people really like it. Could not get into it. 0%. Just was not my jam. So this next one is probably my most controversial get rid of pick, and it's The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, because I didn't really like it. Oh my, it was almost a DNF. Like, you know what? I got to like 75% of the way through this book and I skimmed the rest. So it's practically a DNF. I just did not care at all about these characters. I couldn't care less. It is poorly veiled Raylo fanfiction, frankly. Like, I mean, even the cover, like, doesn't that look like Raylo? It's like Adam Driver and Ray. I don't remember the actress's name. But like, tell me it's not. It's like so poorly veiled Raylo fanfic that like I couldn't get over it, and like it was just bothersome, and I was just not into like literally any of it. And you know, once you get the Raylo thing in your head, you just can't get out of it. And I know everyone loves this book. It's so popular, and like, frankly, I didn't think it was that good. I didn't like it that much. I said what I said. So these next couple books, I really genuinely wanted to love. Like, genuinely, I really wanted to love them, and then I was really bummed I didn't. And one of them is A History of Wild Places by Shay Earnshaw. And mind you, I had read something else by Shay Earnshaw before, and I DNF'd it. And then I had this one come along, and it's a completely different vibe. The other one was YA fantasy. This is adult mystery, thriller kind of story. And I was like, okay, completely different vibe. Maybe I'll like this one better. And you know what? I DNF'd it for the same exact reason I DNF'd her other book. Basically, there's just so many like fractured storylines going on that like you had something really cool, like this one storyline is awesome, and then you stop telling it to go tell this other story that's frankly boring. That's why I stopped reading the other book and I stopped reading this one, the same reason. So I'm like, you know what, maybe me and Shay Earnshaw just aren't gonna vibe as like an author-reader combo, but like I can understand why people would like this book. I wanted to like it, but like ultimately I gave up. I DNF'd. It's a mystery and I DNF'd. I did not care enough to figure out what was going to happen. Like, that is saying something. I'm also going to get rid of Real Easy by Marie Rutkowski, and this one is a bummer in the summer, like such a bummer, because like I pre-ordered this. Marie Rutkowski is one of like, she's like an auto-buy author for me. I've read all of her other stuff, except those books are like YA fantasy kind of stories, and this one is adult crime thriller. So again, completely different vibe. I'm like, but I'm into it. I like Marie Rutkowski. And it's another DNF. I DNF'd it, and I'm not happy about it, you know? I really, really wanted to love this, and like I read some of it, and frankly, it's just misery, and I was not vibing with it. It's like, do I want to read this whole book and just be sad the whole time because it's about a serial killer and like people you like getting murdered horribly on page, and you're just like, do I want to deal with this for like the next like several hours? And the answer was 0%. I don't want to do that. I want to read books that make me happy, so I had to part ways with it. Okay, so this next big group of books are all books I've read for Blades and Bodice Rippers book club and didn't enjoy. They're not always winners, you know? I want them to be, but alas, they're not all winners. First off, I have Year One by Nora Roberts because, like, oh my gosh, did I hate this. Like, it's composed of things I like, and yet I still did not want to read this. Like, I couldn't make myself do it. I couldn't do it. What? There's like a magical plague, and then like nothing makes sense. Like, none of the magic in this makes sense at all. I don't even think they try. Half the characters in this book, there's like so many different perspectives. I don't know, like 15. I don't know. I'm just guessing a number because there's so many of them. And like, frankly, none of them were important to the story. When you get to the end of this book, you realize all those other perspectives were completely nonsense. It had nothing to do with the plot going forward for this series. What bullshit is that? Frankly, I could go on and on about how much I dislike the book. It's just really unfortunate because it's made of things I would normally like paranormal, there's like witches, magic disease, people like trying to survive, you know, it's like post-apocalyptic. It's stuff I would like, but like, oh boy, all of it put together in this recipe, it just didn't like mesh well, and you know, they can't all be winners. It has to go. I get rid of The Black Company by Glenn Cook. Frankly, I despised my reading experience during this book so much. It's just gross, and I think the characters are stupid, and it doesn't go anywhere. Essentially, we're following like this group of like mercenary type guys, and there's this big war in the land, and they're fighting on behalf of the lady. And then you don't even really get into what the lady is a lot. And then there's these other people fighting against the lady. And obviously Team Lady is the bad guys. And these people, they don't realize they're on Team Bad Guy regardless of all of the bad shit going on with their own guys. Like, just on-page sexual assault from people that's on their side. Like, what made you think you're on Team Good Guy, sir? Like, oh my gosh, it was just, I wanted to bleach my eyeballs after. I really disliked it. Also leaving my shelf, I have Witchmark by C.L. Polk, and frankly, it was okay. You know, like, I gave it like a 3 stars because I don't really have a rage boner over it, you know? It was like meh. It's full of meh. Again, like, none of the magic system in this world is adequately explained to have it make sense. And it's an romance, I think, in, like, Gilded era or Edwardian era. And, you know, there's magic and, like, the siblings and, like, they have to get tied together magically somehow. And it's, like, slavery, essentially. I don't know, some bullshit. It's just stupid, and they don't go into how it works ever, so it's just like, well, like, how does this work? Why are we dealing with this? You know, it's fine. I don't have, like, a rage boner over it, essentially. It's just, I don't care. I'm also getting rid of this copy of the Goblin Emperor, not because I didn't like it. I actually liked the Goblin Emperor. I just happen to have 2 copies. So, there you go. I liked it. I have my other copy on the shelf because it's a nicer copy, and this one, I don't need 2 copies of it, so it's gonna go because I just happen to have 2. And speaking of things I have 2 copies of, I also ended up with 2 copies of The Bright and Breaking Sea by Chloe Neal. I don't know how I ended up with 2 copies of it, but I had 2 of them, and I was like, well, that's strange, and I haven't even read it once. I have 2 copies of a book I haven't read yet. So I was like, well, I don't need 2 copies, one of them's gonna go, and hopefully when I do read it, I enjoy it. I'm also gonna get rid of Spin by Robert Charles Wilson, and mainly just because I don't think I'm going to read it. I was sent to me by the publisher for, like, promo. I promoted it. I did my job. I don't feel like I need to read this book. It's sci-fi. Basically, it's kind of a little simulation theory, maybe? I don't know. Basically, the Earth is actually in a bubble made by aliens, and the whole universe outside of the bubble is going about 100 million years faster than one Earth here. So it's like, it's sped up outside. But that means we're getting ever closer to the sun not being a sun anymore. It'll supernova, and that's gonna be done in like 40 years. So there's problems. And I like the concept, but like ultimately I'm like, am I going to deal with this? And like the answer's no. I'm just not gonna read it. I just know. Also leaving my shelf is Captives of the Night by Loretta Chase. I really wanted to like this one because it's technically the book that came before Lord of Scoundrels in the series that it is in. And I love Lord of Scoundrels, so I'm like, okay, what's the book before it? Like, how is it going to be even better? Answer is no. I think Lord of Scoundrels is like my fluke book by Loretta Chase, because I've read other things and haven't enjoyed them that much. So maybe that's just my fluke. It's the fluke book I like, and I don't like anything else. I don't know. I read this one, and it's boring and stupid, and I did not care about the main characters ever getting together. They have no chemistry. There you have it. I'm also getting rid of Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne. Again, pre-order book. I was so excited for it because, like, I had read the 2 other books by Sally Thorne, liked both of them very much. I was like, this one is gonna be a slam dunk. And oh boy, was this a swing and a miss. Just the ball, you see it going at the hoop, it like took a right and it's in the audience now. Like that's how far off of a miss it was. Like, it basically reads like a bad episode of that old TV show Seventh Heaven. It reads like that, except slightly more smutty at like a little bit. There's not really that much smut in it. So it's just like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, again, the main couple has no chemistry with each other. I don't understand why either of them would be attracted to the other one. maybe he has a mommy kink. I don't know. She's very mom energy. And I mean, I'm not yucking his yum. If that's what he likes, he likes. But like, it's never gone into, so it's like, I don't get the chemistry. So yeah, I was very disappointed in this. I hate it. It's unfortunate. Now this is what I'm kind of still on the fence about getting rid of, and that is The Spider by Leo Carew. Mind you, I read The Wolf by Leo Carew and very much enjoyed it. I thought it was very good. This is the sequel to it. And I've read like 40% of this, and I just never picked it up again. I just couldn't. Basically, all of the things I really, really loved out of book 1 aren't present in book 2. It's just a completely different vibe, a different story structure, and I was just not feeling it. I missed the character arc of book 1, and I thought this was going to be more of that character arc, but really it's like a lot of different stuff, and it just wasn't the same. Not that I was expecting the exact same book. I was expecting the same vibe, the same feel, the same like story structure, and it just gave me none of that. So, you know, like, do I ever see myself really picking this back up and finishing it? The answer is no. Like, I'm not gonna do it. It's just not gonna happen. So it's like, okay, you know, I'm gonna keep The Wolf. I really enjoyed it, and The Wolf of book 1 of a series did feel fairly complete. There's loose ends open, but like the main story arc was complete, so I'm like, I could just pretend it ended there. I don't have to read this, basically. The last stack here, I just have like a big bunch of mass market paperbacks that I'm getting rid of for reasons. I'm gonna get rid of Tall, Dark, and Deadly by Laurie Auclair. This is like romantic suspense. And I'm not like a huge fan of romantic suspense in general, so I was like, about it. So I cracked this open, and I read the first line of the book, and it was so bad that I was like, you know, I don't need this in my life. It says, and I quote, "There are 2 kinds of women in the world, those you screwed and those you married." And I was like, well, you can go fuck yourself, sir. I don't want to read that at all. I'm also getting rid of this copy of The Only Thing by Marie Hart, and I do think this was an ARC, I believe. Yeah, this is an advanced reader copy of this. I think I got it like in a giveaway. I don't think I like bought this on my own. And mainly just because, like, I'm not, like, super into it. What was this even about? I don't know. I pulled it off my shelf and I just gave up on it. Yeah, I don't really remember why I pulled this off my shelf, but, like, maybe it's worth, like, trying a chapter. I'll try a chapter of this and then, like, decide if I'm going to get rid of it. Because, like, I don't know. It seems like unnecessary drama, frankly, but maybe I'll try a chapter. I am getting rid of The Trouble with Christmas by Amy Andrews, mainly because I read it and I thought it was just okay. It's not fantastic. So I'm like, do I want to keep a book on my shelf that's just all right? And the answer is no. I'm trying to part ways with books I think are just all right. You know, I could like save that space for something I really, really want on my shelf rather than something that's just all right. So yeah, it's gonna go. It's fine. I don't really have a problem with it. It just wasn't amazing. I am also getting rid of Seduce Me by Christmas by Deborah Raleigh, mainly because there is no audiobook component and I doubt I will ever read this without an audiobook. There you go. It's just not gonna happen unless there's an audiobook, and the one does not exist. Another Christmas one. I had a whole bunch of Christmas ones here. I also have Wishlist, and this is like an anthology, so it has Lisa Kleypas, Lisa Koch, I think Claudia Dane, and Lindsay Sands. So it's got like authors I like in it. However, again, no audiobook component. I doubt I'm going to read this without an audiobook component, so I'm moving on with my life. I am getting rid of Lone Rider by Lindsay McKenna. And this was an ARC I got, I think just like a giveaway. I didn't like request this. And I'm just not into cowboy romances. I just not, and I don't feel them, you know, I'm not like opposed to reading them. Like, it's not like an automatic no, but like in general, I'm like I'm not super into them. But like, if something came along that was like, wow, sounds incredible, I might pick it up. So I'm not like completely adverse to cowboy romance, but like, it's not my first choice. And considering I did not ask for this, it was just like an ARC I somehow got. I'm like, it could leave my shelf. Last up, I have Surrender the Dark by L.A. Banks. And this is one like I did want to read, but yeah, there's no audiobook. It sucks. I know. That's like a stupid reason, but like frankly, I don't function as like only a physical reader because it's just like, it's very difficult for me to sit in one place for an extended period of time. And when you're physically reading, you just have to sit there and just do that. I'm a girl on the go. I gotta be listening to stuff and like doing the dishes and doing other things. It helps me focus better. Like it just, that's how my brain functions. Like just reading and doing nothing else is just not a fun experience for me. So I'm just not gonna read it unless it has an audiobook. There you go. Oh, okay. So though that was like my first pass of all the stuff leaving my shelves in the near future. There's only one of them, which was The Only Thing by Marie Hart. I'm gonna try a chapter of it and see if I like it, but it's probably still gonna go, like, let's be real. Let me know in the comments down below. What's the last book you got rid of? Like you just pulled it off yourself and you're like, you know what, not for me. Or do you disagree with me on some of my picks? Because I know some of them are probably controversial picks to get rid of. Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. Also, I have a Patreon now. The link will be down in the description below if you want to join for more cool, like, exclusive content. There's the link down below. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye.